Why do people pleasers struggle with intimacy? Today we're going to talk about people pleasers and nice guys, guys with nice guy syndrome in relationships, and why they struggle to create and maintain a deep emotional connection. So you got to understand the struggle is quite real for people pleasers. I'm glad to see that the public discussion around people pleasing is starting to become more serious and people starting to take nice guy syndrome more seriously and see it for the detrimental trauma response that it is. People pleasers are generally well liked, but not well loved. They might have lots of friends and have a great reputation, but it's rare for them to have deep and meaningful, real connections with other people. And even the people who feel like they love them may not be in love with a genuine version of them. So, quite often, their partners and even close family members have been conned into thinking this person is a more pleasant person than they actually are, and that's the thing they love. The real person is actually still relatively alone. You know people pleasers by the quantity of their connections. They have lots of friends. They will have a string, perhaps, of relationships, monogamy, caring workmates, great reputation. But what you don't know is that they often feel alone, even when surrounded by people who feel positively about them. They often feel like an alien hiding amongst humans. And then, of course, you've got the people pleasers who struggle to make any kind of connection happen, especially romantic connections. They can't really seem to get a relationship off the ground. They struggle with dating. They haven't been laid in a long time. They sort of find themselves inexplicably preventing or sabotaging any opportunities, romantically and otherwise, even though they consciously feel like they're still trying to make it happen. And this was me for most of my 20s. I felt like I was really trying hard to build my social circle and my dating life and my love life. And yet it seemed like I had the reverse Midas touch. Everything I did turned to shit. It's like some part of me was deliberately sabotaging everything, though it felt like I was trying my best. So before we get into this, let's get on the same page about certain key words here. Let's start with people pleaser. This is a person who's overly nice and helpful, usually with the hidden agenda of making other people feel comfortable and happy so that they'll like you. What looks like good behavior and decent moral behavior is really more of a strategy to prevent things like rejection and conflict and disappointment, especially to prevent any kind of criticism and negative judgment that might cause you to dislike them. What does it mean to be intimate? What is intimacy? People often associate this word with sex, but intimacy is really more about emotional connection. Intimate relationships are deep, they're honest, they're transparent, where many vulnerable truths have been safely shared and received, and both people feel like they can be themselves with each other. That's what I'd say is an intimate relationship. Avoidant attachment style is another term I'd like to cover here. This is somebody who struggles to let people in. They keep them at arm's length emotionally so that there's no real connection. Think of it like the deeper your connection with someone is, the more it's going to hurt when it ends. So an avoidant tries to prevent that depth so that if it does end, they don't get badly hurt. It's kind of keeping yourself uninvested, if you will. They get sometimes also known as an undersharer or a love avoidant. Then you've got an anxious attachment style. Someone who's anxious in their attachment struggles to let people go. They're often needy, clingy, desperate, low standards. These are the kind of people who regularly get abused. They'll take what they can get and they hold on to it for dear life. They're known also perhaps as an oversharer, or they can be a love addict. What is it that creates intimacy? To understand why people pleasers struggle with intimacy, let's have a look at how it's created, and we'll see where people pleasers are kind of colorblind and disabled. Honesty is a huge part of it. So both parties really need to be equally honest for an intimate connection to form about nearly everything, preferably everything if they can. The more honest that they are, the more intimate the connection will be. This has to be reciprocal. So if one person is undersharing and the other's oversharing, that's not intimacy. That's an interview. That's kind of false intimacy. And that's what you often get when you get an anxious with an avoidant. The anxious feels like there's a deep connection because they've shared so much with the other person, but the other person's actually only lightly connected. So respect is a huge factor in intimacy, and respect meaning that things are equal and go both ways, and that both people have equal status. So the information might not be the exact same quantity, but the quality of it is shared to an equal degree. Both people are equally invested, and they keep trying to go deeper in their investment. When you feel like you can predict your partner accurately, and you always do because you know them so well, and they can do the same for you, that's when you know you've got intimacy. So, how do people pleasers prevent intimacy from happening? Well, they basically violate both principles of honesty and respect. And because they violate these principles, intimacy is actually impossible. They're rarely honest about their darkness, their negativity, despite these being normal human experiences that they have every single day. You only get to see a small slice of their personality pie when you're with one of them. They just show you the stuff that they think you'll like and that you'll be comfortable with. And they hide anything that might burden you or gain your disapproval or ruin the relationship. You basically just get the happy, easygoing stuff, which might be pleasant to be around, increasing the false sense of intimacy because you enjoy each other's company. But enjoying each other's company is not intimacy. I can enjoy the company of a dog. I can enjoy an imaginary friend. Intimacy is when we're both actually connected and it's not false. So, this lack of honesty also creates a respect problem automatically. Because you aren't honest, you tend to undershare emotionally, even if you're saying a lot physically. Even if you're spending a lot of time together, you're not actually connecting deeply. You're just kind of giving the appearance of a connection. And avoidant people pleasers, they love to hide behind false curiosity. So they'll explore you, they'll ask you lots of questions, and they'll show deep interest in your life. And what you'll miss is that they're not sharing equally, that they're kind of hiding behind this curiosity, getting all the information from you and giving nothing back in return, nothing that's really that meaningful anyway. In the other situations, the anxious attached people pleaser will overshare, blurt, and just spew all their vulnerable secrets out to anybody who will give them half an ear. This violates the respect principle. You drown the other person in your information. They don't even have the space to participate, even if they wanted to. This is one of the reasons that anxious people pleasers attract narcissists and abusers, is because you just willingly give out all this information that can be used against you. You make it very easy to do, and the other person doesn't have to give back in return, and they can just give you false information. You're so desperate, you'll just believe everything they say. Now, many people pleasers do actually have some kind of intimacy in their life somewhere. They might have a real best friend or a great connection with their mother or something. It's very rare that I've coached a people pleaser who doesn't have at least one genuine intimate connection, though sometimes that does happen. These real relationships, or at least the most real that they have, can give you a sense of the difference between true intimacy and the kind of false superficiality that you have with other people. So if there's a big difference between how you are with your best friend and how you are with your workmates, you can see why you're not connecting with your workmates. People pleasers and nice guys often think that they were lucky to have that one real connection and that they just have to be superficial with everyone else. And what they don't see is that being real with the person is what created that connection. If they did more of that, they would have more relationships like this. They fail to see that honesty and respect is what created that exceptional connection. Honesty is what creates the safety. You don't wait for safety to be honest. It's the other way around. Why? Why do people pleasers resist intimacy when it's something they so clearly want? Long story short, it's all about trauma and fear. People pleasers had to learn early on in their childhood to keep others happy, or otherwise it was a genuine threat to them. They were around people whose emotional instability was dangerous, or they were conditioned to believe that their own emotions were dangerous to the safety of their relationships. And they stumbled upon, through trial and error, the art of pleasing others and creating the safest environment they could create in what was probably a toxic culture within the family or the school or wherever. It can be overly critical teachers, it can be emotionally or unstable or strict parents, vicious bullies, it can be just some random experiences with unpleasant strangers. There's always a history with people pleasers of feeling unsafe in their close connections and feeling like if someone's close to me, I either have to like desperately cling on to them or I have to keep them at a distance to avoid suffocation and pain. So avoidant people pleasers keep people at a distance through dishonesty, easygoingness, humor, pleasantry, because in their childhoods they were harmed by someone who got in close. Maybe it was losing best friends due to moving all the time. That's what happened to me. Or being abused by a trusted family member, or being enmeshed by their mother, that kind of emotional incest stuff, where the parent treats their child like a partner. Anything where someone getting too close ended up in pain and great discomfort And so you learn to be able to make people like you, but not actually let them in where they can hurt you. And anxious people pleasers generally cling to people out of fear of abandonment. Maybe they were left to cry themselves to sleep as babies, or their father out on the family when they were 8 years old, or their high school friends would ditch them and bully them randomly. And they got the sense that if I'm not pleasing, people will leave me and run away. So it's not so much that people came in close and hurt them, but actually hurt them by leaving. So intimacy, whether you're anxious or avoidant, is a source of pain for people pleasers. It comes with a lot of bad memories, and they're extremely conflicted about letting people get in close. In fact, most people are both avoidant and anxious depending on where they're at with somebody. They're anxious in the chase and then avoidant once it starts going well. And they attach their self-confidence to other people's opinions of them. So all relationships are quite threatening. If somebody close to me doesn't like me, I'm going to hate myself as a people pleaser. So I need to be very careful about people getting intimate with me because my self-confidence depends on it going well. So how can people pleasers become healthy and intimate and comfortable with those kinds of relationships? Well, strangely enough, it's got very little to do with other people. A people pleaser really needs to get comfortable on their own. This is the key here. It might be a bit cheesy and cliche, but they need to learn to love themselves as they are before they can hope to share that with anyone else and feel safe. So the avoidant needs to find a way to validate themselves without needing others' approval, without needing others to chase them and then adore them and be impressed by them from a distance. And the anxious needs to find a way to give themselves love and fulfill their own needs without having to rely on somebody else, to find approval from within rather than from without. In practical terms, they need to take the power back by shifting from pleasing others to doing things that they themselves approve of. They need to prove to themselves that they can handle getting hurt or betrayed by others because they don't actually need them, as well as proving that they have the courage to end bad relationships if it goes that way. They need to show that they will keep themselves safe while intimacy grows, that they're never going to be in the hands of another person completely. People pleasers, indeed everybody, need to learn how to live by their own code of honor, what I call your core values, which are unique to you, in such a way that you respect yourself and admire yourself for your own behavior so consistently. You're always doing what's right rather than what's easy, what's best rather than what gets approval, and so on. And that's how you build a relationship with you. That's how you learn to like you. You impress yourself. You got to earn it. You can't just look in the mirror and go, I love myself as I am, because your brain will be like, no, you don't. What are you talking about? But when you go and act with integrity consistently and boldly and impress yourself with acts of courage and honesty and responsibility and compassion, then you get home, look in the mirror and like, actually, I do like this guy. I'd recommend this guy to others. A great way to work on your core values and tackle your intimacy problems simultaneously is to focus on courageous honesty. In particular, sharing the things you're scared of sharing, right? The dark truths about yourself, the negatives, the things that you're worried will get disapproved of, and things that will disappoint people and get you rejected and cause conflict. The more of those things you can get out and deal with the consequences of them getting out, the less afraid you'll be of intimacy, because intimacy is not built on the good times, but the bad times. Do this enough, you'll impress yourself, you'll love yourself, and you'll now have what's known as a secure attachment. You'll be able to give and receive love without being crushed by it being taken away. And that's when you start looking for a partner. I'll put it out there. You can do this all on your own, or you can make tons of progress with support. So like me, you can do it all trial and error with books and courses and everything on your own like I did, and it took many, many years. And it does work if you just stick with it and are willing to take lots of risks and take lots of hits and learn the hard way. Or you can do it with the support of someone like me. The very reason I do this work is so it doesn't take you 7 years to figure it out, but 1 year perhaps, or 3 months, depending on how well you're doing. So if you want to learn how to build a secure attachment, build your confidence, live by core values, while simultaneously slowly dismantling your people-pleasing and replacing it with genuine authenticity, generosity, compassion, but also that hard edge of assertiveness and courage and honesty, then get in touch, dan@brojo.org. We'll talk about how I can help you further. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.